When a father leaves behind his fortune, he also leaves behind a choice. Will his sons honor his memory, or will greed tear the family apart? This is the story of three brothers, James, William, and Ethan, and one decision that turned sacrifice into the greatest wealth of all. Stay until the end, because what Ethan discovered in his darkest moment holds a lesson that may change how you see your own life. Robert, their father, was a man respected by the whole town. He had built a modest fortune through years of hard labor, working the land with his bare hands, and raising his sons with discipline and love. As he lay on his deathbed, his voice trembled yet carried the weight of truth. "My final wish is this," he whispered. "Stay united. Do not let wealth destroy what I built with sweat and sacrifice. Promise me you will protect one another." James, the eldest, nodded quickly, his mind already turning to numbers. William, the second, tightened his jaw, thinking of the power that wealth could bring. Ethan, the youngest, knelt beside his father, holding his hand. His small business was drowning in debt, but he silently vowed to honor his father's last words. When the will was read, Robert's property was to be divided equally. James slammed his hand against the table. "Equal is not fair. I carried the heavier load. I deserve more." William's face darkened. "And what about me? I sacrificed the most. Do you think I will settle for less than what is rightfully mine?" The argument grew fiercer with each passing day. They shouted accusations, old wounds reopened, and bitterness poisoned the air in the house where Robert's laughter once echoed. Ethan sat in silence, watching everything his father had built teeter on the edge of ruin. The tension escalated until James threatened to take the matter to court. William swore he would rather sever ties forever than accept an equal share. Ethan's heart sank. His business was collapsing. Creditors circled like vultures, and the inheritance was the one chance to keep himself alive. At night, he lay awake, torn between saving his future and saving his father's dream. He saw his father's tired hands in his mind, the eyes that had begged for unity. The image would not leave him, yet fear gnawed at him. Would sacrifice mean losing everything he had left? One evening, as the shouting rose to its peak, Ethan stood. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. "Enough," he said. "I will take the smallest portion, and half of that I will give to both of you. Take what you want, but let us remain brothers, as father wished." The room fell silent. James and William froze, but their eyes did not soften. Pride kept them from speaking, and greed still clouded their hearts. Ethan knew they were not ready to change, but deep inside, he felt a strange calm. He had chosen love over gold, even if it left him with almost nothing. Life was brutal. Ethan's business remained fragile, and some partners quickly took advantage of his generosity. Deals collapsed. Once, he trusted a merchant who promised loyalty, but the man betrayed him, leaving Ethan nearly bankrupt. Friends mocked him, calling him a fool for giving more than he received. One night, sitting alone in his dim office, Ethan buried his face in his hands. The ledger before him showed loss after loss. Tears burned his eyes. He whispered, "Father, was I wrong? Did I throw away my only chance to survive?" But then he remembered Robert's words, the weight of that final promise. With a trembling breath, he stood again. He would not abandon the path of generosity. He would persist even if the world mocked him. Slowly, things began to change. People started to notice Ethan's fairness. They realized he was a man whose word could be trusted more than any contract. Small partners returned. Then larger ones came, drawn by his reputation. One day, the very merchant who had betrayed him years before returned, humbled. "Ethan," he said, "I was wrong. You gave me more than I deserved, and I betrayed you. Will you give me one more chance?" Ethan looked into the man's eyes. He could have turned him away. Instead, he extended his hand. "Yes, but this time, let us build something honest." That partnership became the turning point, opening doors to markets Ethan had never dreamed of. Years passed, and Ethan's business grew into a thriving enterprise. He was known across the region as the man who always gave more, the man whose generosity built unshakable trust. Meanwhile, James and William, who had seized the larger inheritance, saw their fortunes collapse. Greed had eroded their partnerships. Mistrust had destroyed their deals. Eventually, broken and humbled, they came to Ethan, not with demands, but with bowed heads. "Ethan," James said softly, "we were blind. We chased wealth and lost everything. But you turned little into much." William added, his voice thick with regret, "You became the man Father hoped we would be." This story is not about losing. It is about the courage to give when the world tells you to take. It is about the strength to sacrifice when your own future feels uncertain. Ethan proved that true wealth is not measured by what you keep, but by the trust and respect you inspire in others. That is the treasure that multiplies. That is the legacy that endures. So what about you? In your work, in your family, in your friendships, are you fighting for the larger share? Or are you brave enough to give more so others may thrive? Remember this. True greatness is born not from greed, but from generosity. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to this channel, share it with someone who needs hope today, and let us spread the truth that giving more is the path to lasting success.